11 Reasons Why Cancer Drives People Crazy. Have you ever been around someone who seems to flip-flop between extremes, where one moment they're warm and loving, and the next, they're emotionally distant or even upset over nothing? Well, if you've met a Cancer, you probably know exactly what I mean. Cancers, ruled by the moon, are some of the most emotionally driven signs in the zodiac. They can make you feel incredibly loved and cared for, but at the same time, their deep emotions can also drive you absolutely crazy. They have this unique combination of sensitivity, mood swings, and attachment, making it a challenge to understand what's really going on in their hearts and minds. While their emotional depth is often what makes them so endearing, it also leads to unpredictable and frustrating behavior that can leave those around them scratching their heads. If you've ever had a Cancer in your life and wondered why they act the way they do, you're not alone. In today's video, we're going to break down 11 reasons why Cancer can drive people crazy, and trust me, if you've experienced their mood shifts, clinginess, and emotional intensity, you might just recognize these traits. So, let's dive into the wild emotional ride that comes with loving a Cancer and see what makes them tick. 1. Overly sensitive. Cancers are notoriously sensitive, and this is one of the key reasons they drive people crazy. It's almost like they have an emotional radar that picks up on even the smallest slight. Something that seems totally harmless to most people can cut deep for a Cancer. They take everything personally, whether it's a minor joke, a comment about their behavior, or even a suggestion that isn't exactly flattering. This heightened sensitivity often leads to unexpected emotional reactions. A simple, offhand remark can send them into a spiral, and what might be a casual conversation for you could turn into an emotional crisis for them. It's like you have to constantly watch your words, never knowing when you might trigger something, even if it wasn't intentional. What's worse, they don't always express how hurt they are right away. Instead, they'll bottle it up and let it simmer, which only makes things more complicated. So, instead of being able to quickly resolve the issue, you're left trying to figure out why they're upset, and by the time they finally open up, it may feel like the damage has already been done. 2. Mood swings. One of the most frustrating aspects of being around a Cancer is their mood swings. Their emotional states can change so rapidly, it can leave you feeling like you're on a never-ending roller coaster. One minute, they're happy, full of energy, and ready to take on the world. But just as quickly, that energy can vanish, and they'll be withdrawn, distant, or even upset for no apparent reason. Since Cancer is ruled by the moon, this constant fluctuation in their mood is actually tied to lunar cycles, which means their emotions can change at a moment's notice. And while some might find this emotional depth beautiful, it can be overwhelming when you're trying to figure out how to connect with them. What you thought was a peaceful evening with a Cancer could suddenly turn tense because something triggered their mood. The worst part? These mood swings can be unpredictable, so you might find yourself walking on eggshells, never really sure how to approach them. One wrong move, and you could find yourself swept up in the emotional tide. 3. Clinginess. Cancers are fiercely loyal, but sometimes, their loyalty translates into clinginess. They deeply crave emotional security and connection, which can lead them to become overly attached to the people they care about. They want constant affirmation that they are loved, needed, and supported. And if they don't get that reassurance, they can become a bit too demanding. Their clinginess often manifests as constant texting, checking in, or wanting to be around you all the time. They crave emotional intimacy to such an extent that it can feel like you're being smothered, and it can sometimes leave you feeling like you're walking a fine line between being a supportive partner and feeling trapped in an emotionally demanding situation. While it's easy to see this clinginess as a sign of love, it can also be overwhelming for someone who values space or independence. When a Cancer gets emotionally attached, they have a tendency to want to make everything about us, and that can sometimes feel like too much to handle. 4. Hard to get close to. One of the most confusing aspects of Cancer's personality is how difficult it can be to get close to them. Despite their deep emotional nature, Cancers are incredibly guarded. They've been hurt before, and because of that, they're hesitant to open up fully. It's like they have an emotional barrier that's hard to penetrate. Even when they care about you deeply, they might not show it in the way you expect. This emotional distance can make it feel like you're always on the outside looking in. They may share bits and pieces of their world with you, but they rarely let you see the full picture. You might think that you're growing closer to them, only to find that they've pulled back just as quickly as they've let you in. It's frustrating because, when they do open up, you realize just how much they have to offer emotionally. But those moments are rare, and they make you question whether you truly understand them or if they're just keeping you at arm's length to protect themselves. And while you might feel like you're building trust, the Cancer might still be unsure about letting you all the way in. 5. Overprotectiveness. Cancers are some of the most protective people you'll ever meet, but sometimes, that protection can feel more like control. They have an overwhelming need to shield their loved ones from harm, whether it's physical, emotional, or even just stress. While this trait can be seen as endearing, it can also be smothering. Cancers will often step in to take care of a situation even when it doesn't need their intervention. They want to fix things, especially if it involves their family or friends. This overprotectiveness can show up in many ways, from worrying excessively about your safety to being involved in every detail of your life. At its worst, this behavior can come off as controlling. Cancers might question your decisions, your friends, or your life choices because they want to ensure that you're safe and well cared for. It's as if they can't help themselves. This urge to keep you safe often overrides their ability to give you space. And, if you challenge their protective behavior, it can lead to tension, because they believe they know best. 6. Constant need for reassurance. One of the most exhausting qualities of a Cancer is their constant need for reassurance. Their insecurities often manifest in a way that makes them seek validation repeatedly. Cancers are emotional creatures, and they want to feel secure in their relationships, but sometimes this need for security can come across as needy or even demanding. They might ask if you love them over and over again, or if you still care about them. It's not that they doubt you, it's more about them doubting themselves. They constantly need to hear that they're important, valued, and loved. If they don't get this affirmation, they may start to spiral emotionally. For those around them, this can be emotionally draining. It's like you're reassuring them constantly, even though you've told them 100 times before. And if you ever forget to offer this validation, it can make them feel unloved or unappreciated, leading to unnecessary conflict in the relationship. 7. Holding grudges. If you hurt a Cancer, be prepared for them to hold on to that pain for a very long time. One of the most challenging things about being around a Cancer is their ability to hold grudges. They may forgive you eventually, but they rarely forget. If you've wronged them in any way, they'll remember it long after you've moved on. This trait can make conflicts feel never-ending. Even after you've apologized, a Cancer might still bring up the issue from time to time, unable to fully let go of the emotional weight. Their inability to forget what hurt them can result in lingering tension, especially if the issue hasn't been fully resolved in their mind. What's frustrating is that, while you may have moved past the situation, a Cancer might still bring it up in casual conversation, subtly reminding you of the past. And this can create an emotional distance, as they don't feel like they've received the closure they need. For someone who values peace and moving forward, this constant revisiting of old wounds can be incredibly draining. 8. Overly private. Cancers are incredibly private individuals, and this trait can often leave those around them frustrated. They value their personal space and are very selective about who they let into their inner world. While some might see this as a sign of mystery or intrigue, it can also be incredibly difficult to understand them on a deeper level. If you're trying to build a relationship with a Cancer, you may notice that they keep a lot of things to themselves. They tend to keep their feelings and thoughts locked away, only revealing them when they feel it's absolutely necessary. This means that trying to get to the core of what they're thinking or feeling often feels like pulling teeth. For someone who wants to share every little detail of their life, Cancer's secrecy can be frustrating. You might feel like there's a wall between you and them, even if they care about you deeply. And because they keep so much to themselves, you might never fully know what's going on in their head, which can be isolating and leave you feeling out of the loop. 9. Mood centering the relationship. Cancers have a way of centering their moods in a relationship, which can make the entire dynamic feel emotionally unpredictable. Their moods can dictate the atmosphere, and when they're happy, everything feels right. But when they're upset, it's like the entire world becomes heavy and tense. This emotional influence can make others feel like they're walking on eggshells. You can never be entirely sure what kind of mood a Cancer will be in, and their mood often determines the mood of everyone around them. If a Cancer is upset, it's not just their problem, it's everyone's problem. They can sometimes unintentionally make others feel responsible for their emotional state. This mood centering can also lead to feelings of emotional exhaustion for those in close relationships with Cancer. The emotional energy they give off can be all-consuming, and it can be hard to stay balanced when their moods swing like a pendulum. 10. Tendency to overthink. Overthinking is one of Cancer's most frustrating traits. They can't help but dwell on the smallest details, analyzing everything over and over again. Whether it's a conversation, a decision, or a situation that's unresolved, Cancer will replay it in their mind, often building up problems that don't even exist. This overthinking habit can make them seem like they're constantly in a state of emotional turmoil, even when nothing is wrong. For someone around them, it can be exhausting to watch them stress over every little thing. You might feel like you've already resolved a situation, but for Cancer, it's not settled until they've thought about it from every possible angle. Overthinking often leads to unnecessary anxiety, and sometimes, Cancer's mind will make problems that never even existed. This can create tension because, while you see the situation as simple, Cancer is busy spiraling into a series of emotional what-ifs. 11. Difficult to please. Despite their need for constant reassurance, Cancers can actually be incredibly difficult to please. They have high expectations when it comes to love, affection, and care. You might go out of your way to make them happy, only to find that it's not enough. It's like they're always looking for something more, and no matter how much you give, it never seems to satisfy them completely. This can be especially challenging in romantic relationships, where they expect their partner to meet every emotional need they have. They want the perfect amount of attention, affection, and understanding, and when those expectations aren't met, they can become disappointed, even frustrated. For those around them, this can feel like a never-ending cycle of trying to meet their needs, only to find that they're still not happy. It's like you're always striving to meet their emotional standards, but it's hard to know exactly what they need because they often won't voice it clearly. Conclusion. So, as we've seen, Cancer is a deeply emotional, protective, and complex sign, and while they bring warmth and care into our lives, their quirks can drive us crazy. From their sensitivity and mood swings to their tendency to overthink and hold grudges, dealing with a Cancer can sometimes feel like walking a tightrope. But here's the truth, underneath all of these traits lies a deeply loving, loyal, and caring person who wants nothing more than to be understood and appreciated. Their clinginess, overprotectiveness, and constant need for reassurance come from a place of insecurity and fear of being hurt. And while they can be hard to please, when you do meet their emotional needs, they'll offer you loyalty and love like no other. So, if you're in a relationship with a Cancer, it's important to remember that these challenges come from their desire to protect those they love. If you can navigate their emotional roller coaster, you'll experience a connection that's both fulfilling and incredibly rewarding.